Welcome to this episode, Lesson 8.4, Curriculum Response of Higher Education for Teacher Education Amid the Pandemic and Beyond. As we still facing COVID-19 pandemic until now, how are you? What have you done? Oh, by the way, we want to ask to all students, are you even tired of Google Meet, Zooms, online discussions, and bunch of activities in the Google Classroom? If yes, then me and my partner too. But because we have goals to fulfill, then we will do it in any cost. So, as face-to-face are no longer available, the best we can do is embrace to deliver lessons or to learn lessons through flexible learning and other modalities. In continuing this video, we will know how education adjusts as to what we have been doing and we have been experiencing and what and how we are learning today as the pandemic going on. Let's start our discussion in defining the desired learning outcomes of our lesson. The first one is identify the implementations of occurrence of COVID-19 pandemic to teacher education curriculum. Second, propose adjustments to the curriculum during a pandemic. Third, identify ways and means to address the curriculum vis-a-vis the situation that prevails during pandemic. So first, we have what we call curriculum modification. So what is this curriculum modification? Curriculum modification is the process of making adjustments to existing programs in higher education, especially teaching education, in order to respond to the needs of the learners amid the post-pandemic. In this curriculum modification, we really have to adjust as what the situation is and also for our students to be safe and secured when they are learning. So, in this curriculum modification, first we have the focusing as the essentials. So we have to map the needed and enduring outcomes in the recommended and written curriculum. Challenge now in this pandemic is how to create a balance between relevant basic competencies for the students to acquire and the teachers' desire to achieve the entire outcomes of the curriculum. To solve this challenge, the teacher needs to revisit the existing curriculum and analyze the outcomes of the program or courses. The mapping of the course's outcomes should be done to determine the needed and the enduring outcomes and which outcomes should be emphasized. So, the mapping of the course outcomes should be done to determine the needed and the enduring outcomes and which outcomes should be emphasized. Now, let us learn what is this needed outcome is. Needed outcomes are the desired knowledge, skills, and values that are required to learn higher concepts. They are defined as competencies that learners need for continuation to subsequent level of concepts. They are considered as prerequisite competencies. On the other hand, enduring outcomes are competencies that are necessary not just for succeeding in a certain topic but are useful beyond a single unit or study. They are knowledge, skills, and values that have overarching acceptability in real-life situations. In curriculum modification, enduring outcomes can be given emphasis in identifying and mapping the needed and enduring outcomes can also shed light on overlapping so the teacher can decide which competencies should be retained or merged. Here are two examples of outcomes taken from the sample syllabus in art appreciation, a course in the general education curriculum in higher education. The outcomes in Box A and Box B are all essential. However, in Box A, there are two statements, and in Box B, the two are merged into one essential and enduring outcome. And then, here is another example of unit outcomes for the course purposive communication in the general education curriculum. The two current outcomes will be merged only into one outcome to address the essentials. The two examples shows how learning outcomes can be reduced during the times of pandemic by putting two together into one as an essential. These examples can also be applied to learning outcomes in teacher education. So, the second one under curriculum modification is what we call rearranging of the college courses offerings so that the theories and concepts courses that can be delivered online may be offered in the first 2 years while face-to-face delivery is not yet possible due to risk of infection. While, on the other hand, laboratory-based field study and practicum courses can be offered later when face-to-face modality is already feasible. So, as we can see, it is very hard for the education students to have a teaching demo since face-to-face is not yet allowed. And same goes with the other students who must be doing laboratory experiments and system buildings that can help them to learn more in their own fields of specialization. So also, this rearranging of college courses can be a bit of our rescheduling this as subject or courses that the students must take in this time of pandemic. So, curriculum must or can offer those are applicable in this situation, which is wherein it might be teach through online when it is possible to run a face-to-face classes again than the other courses that needed experience and needed students to be hands-on will be offered when the pandemic is over. So, the third one under curriculum modification is offering of elective or cognate courses that relate to the pandemic and the global health crisis. It is imperative for the curriculum to be adjusted by offering courses that are needed to survive and thrive amid the challenges of the pandemic. So, it is not only offering the subjects and courses needed by the students into their purpose, their chosen profession, but also ensuring the students to learn something that could help them in their mental health. So, here are some of the post-elective courses that are deemed essential, especially in the teacher education programs are the following. The first one is change management. In this, it helps people to adapt and change. And in this time of academics, we really have to adapt and do things that will work considering the situation. So judgment allows us to adapt on the upcoming and the possible changes that this pandemic had given to us. The next one is disaster risk management. So it is not just the pandemic that is our enemy, but also disasters that may come in our way, like storms, floods, earthquakes, and many more disasters. So, we students, we need to be ready or prepare for that, so it won't affect our wants to learn, or it won't affect our learnings. The next one is flexible learning and teaching strategies. This will help us in the time since we are unable to go to school. It also helps us to garner collaborative learning through the teacher's way of teaching, which students like. For example, the teacher might group the students into 2 or into 3, and this will serve as their group wherein they could work together or help each other to solve the given activity. And the next one is resilient education. So this can be somewhat related to change management, and this could teach students to adapt and also to cope up with this situation, and this could be a great help to the people struggling to anxiety caused by the pandemic. So, the next one is what we call alternative assessment. In this could be allowing the students to execute and perform activities that are appropriate and that matches the teaching delivery mode, where they can showcase their uniqueness and creativity. In remote teaching now, this is the process of teaching performed at a distance, and this can be a pre-recorded lecture that use online resources, like it can be sending supplemental videos and related to the topic, or videos that are related to the given topic. Next one is health and mental wellness. In this, it helps the students for their peace of mind, since there are news of several students committing suicide because of difficulty they are encountered throughout this new normal type of studying. So it is very important to take good care of our health and mental health. Then the next one is in instructional materials developed for blended instruction. It helps teachers to identify delivery modes for teaching, and it also helps future educators to continue learning process. The next one is alternative learning principles and practices. So since now we are focusing on learner-centered or learning environment, it will be easy for students to reflect on what they have learned together with the distant plan or online guide of teachers, like when tackling a report after what the student had told the class about his or her learning. In this way, the teacher can give his or her generalizations or the overall learnings of the given report or lesson. And the last one is psychosocial support during crisis. So, this could also related to health and mental awareness or mental wellness. And through this, the school may proceed to conducting or allowing their students to attend mental health webinars for them to stable their mind and can focus on their study.
As I continue, I discussed the modifying the taught curriculum. So the second is for learners with connectivity. So the first one is computer assisted learning. It provides opportunity, facilitates instant access to informations. The second is synchronous online learning. Although we will learn from distance, but we will virtually attend a class session each week. Asynchronous online learning, it allows us to do some tasks or activities to practice our skills at any time. Collaborative e-learning, students can able to socially interact with other students, so that as well as the instruction, learners work together in order to expand their knowledge of a particular subject. So the third is modifying the assisted curriculum. It have an adjustment on the assessment. There is a need to limit requirements and to focus major essentials. Project that measures the enduring learning outcomes, like case scenarios, problem-based activity, and capstone project. It must be remembered that curriculum amid the pandemic initiative and evaluation tasks must be anchored on what the learners need, including their safety and their well-being. So we have here the curriculum consideration. the context, wash hands with soap and water, wear face mask, social distancing, practice health protocol, do exercise, and lastly, the most important, eat healthy foods. Above I mentioned, those are the safety tips so that to keep away from the disease of the virus, the learners and the teachers. As we can see, there's three boxes. The first box is no internet connectivity. The second box is limited internet connectivity. The third box is excellent internet connectivity. So in the first box, these are the students use a printed self-learning modules. But in a place with no rest or low rest of COVID, there is 10 students who will meet the face-to-face. In limited internet connectivity, these are the students have asynchronous learning. In excellent internet connectivity, these are the students who have a stable connection, stable signals, and so on and so forth. So these are the students who meet the synchronization every week. In self-reflect, activity 1, what reading materials say about COVID-19 pandemic? So number 1, read from the web and make a summary about COVID-19 pandemic. In activity 2, planning for the future as a teacher during the pandemic. So when you become a teacher in the future, which teaching delivery will you use during a pandemic and why? That's all. Thank you and God bless everyone.